What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Lil Daryl. We back today on another video. On this video today, we're going to talk about how I closed the RBP deal again. And on this deal, I made $14,000. All right. Now, this was a deal in Benson, North Carolina. As you know, I do PPL, pay per lead. So this was a warm lead that came from property leads. Shout out to property leads. So just to give a little insight about this lead. So I bought this lead right on my birthday. Shout out to all the Virgos watching. So about this lead on my birthday, I reached out to the seller. Let me actually go back and pull up my text messages directly with the seller. And as soon as I bought the lead, I reached out to him. This lead was $125. No, actually Johnston County, North Carolina, which is close to Wake County, close to the Raleigh area. If you know a little bit about North Carolina, you always want to get something within an hour from a major city like Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro. So this was within an hour from Raleigh, so I knew that if it got on the market, it would probably sell, relatively fast based on location. So yeah, September 18th, I reached out to the seller at 9 a.m. I said, "Hey Chucky, it's Daryl at B&B Home. I got your inquiry about selling your property. What all needs to be repaired?" He responded about an hour later and said nothing. Then I said, "How much are you looking to get for the property?" No response. I texted him later that evening again. I said, "How much are you looking to get for the property?" So I just copy and paste the message and send it again. This game is all about follow up. So, you just got to follow up. The seller responded and said 250,000. Now, once I plugged the numbers in the calculator and I ran my numbers, the seller is actually where they needed to be. So I didn't even go back and forth. I was able to actually meet his asking price. So that was really smooth. Okay. So I texted him back. I said, "Okay, we can do that." I said, "What's the best email to send an agreement to?" Okay. So I'm waiting actually. So I sent that message September 19th, that last message. Thursday, September 25th, I text him again. I said, "Hey, do you have any questions?" And then he texts back and says, "I'm still got to look over." So he had a little typo. I said, "Okay, good. Just making sure you got it." Okay. Because what I did is I ended up going, because what problem is you buy the lead. I didn't wait for him to send the email. Normally I do it just to show them that they're like going through the process. But I remember back that when he did send me his email. So instead of waiting for him to send the email, I just go ahead and get the email from my CRM and then cook up the contract, send it to him. So I actually sent him the contract on September 19th. I follow up with him on September 25th and send him that message. And I said, "Hey, do you have any questions?" So here we go. 2 days later, I text him back September 27th. I said, "Hey, Chucky, just following up with you." And then October 2nd, I'm following up again. So y'all see, I bought the lead on September 18th. Here I am texting him October 2nd, and I still don't have a contract or a deal signed yet. So you guys got to follow up. So sometimes you may have to make 6 or 7 follow-ups or contacts, with these sellers. So October 2nd at 9:41 a.m., I texted him. I said, "Good morning. We got the agreement back signed. Let me know what's a good day and time to schedule the site survey." So I just woke up one morning and it was signed. So, during that process of me waiting, he did say that he had to, do his due diligence, give it to his attorney or have him look it over and stuff, family members, make sure he was doing the right thing. And I don't rush the sellers. I just constantly follow up, but I don't rush them to sign anything. These are their homes. This is their biggest asset for a lot of people, their biggest investment. You don't want to rush no one out selling their property. He texted back, yeah, like I said, I texted him that morning. "Good morning. We got the agreement back signed. Let me know what's a good day and time to schedule the site survey." He texted back. He said, "Would tomorrow morning work?" I texted back and said, "Tomorrow's fine, but the earliest they can do is 1 p.m. He said, "That will work." And then I said, "Okay, let me reach out and get it scheduled." He said, "Kate, thank you." So after that, I went on Investor Boots, had to spend some money. With this real estate game, you got to pay to play. So I scheduled a photographer to come out to get 30 HD high quality photos that I got on Investor Boots. I paid $239 for those photos. Actually, I texted him back and I said, "Hey, the scheduling team said they can do the site survey on Friday, 10/3 at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Let me know if this works." I tried to do tomorrow, but there's no availability. It was booked. He said, "Yes, a fellow called me and said tomorrow at 1, the name is Scott." And I said, "Oh, okay, great. They actually were able to get you for tomorrow then. Sorry for the confusion." And then he said, "No problem." And then I said, "Correct." And he said, he sent me the number of who called him. And then he said, "This is who called." And I said, "Yes, it's confirmed for tomorrow." And he said, "Okay." Monday, October comes. I text him. I said, "Hey, how you doing? We're about to make the listing live soon. I just wanted to actually have an appraisal or anything that shows square footage measurement of the property, like something on record. So, another thing I want to teach you guys. So with this deals in North Carolina, North Carolina has a square footage requirement now where if you want to list any property on the MLS, you have to get the actual square footage measurement and assessment. So they're not letting that slide. You do have to get a professional. So I did have to pay some extra money to get someone to go out there and get the measurements for this property. I was able to get that done. I think I spent like $100 some to get someone to go out there. They got the actual square footage of the property, and then they sent it to me. So yeah, so then the listing once time, I'm just waiting for showings. At this point, so I'm waiting for showings to come through. Finally get some showings. You know how it goes. People come look at it. Some people may not like it. So after a few showings, we actually get someone that's interested in making an offer. So I was so happy about that. And let me just go back to our text just to see. There was a lockbox on this property, so he had texted me the lockbox code. That made it very easy to do showings, because it wasn't owner occupied. They're actually at another property at the time, so it was very easy for people to go view the property and do showings. I love it when I can get a lockbox set up on a property. It makes it so much stress free. So I was able to get the lockbox on there. Still scrolling, still scrolling. So yeah, these are just showing. So I'm constantly texting and letting them know the days and times for the showing. Okay, so boom. I sent a message finally on Friday, December 12th. I said, hey, good news. Proposed closing date of 1/6/26. We're getting a few quotes on the takedown of the shed, but we will handle it. And then he said, awesome. So let me give you guys more insight about that takedown of that shed. So this is a FHA lender, FHA loan for the retail buyer. But there was a shed that was deteriorating in the back of the property. And then the realtor did say that it might cause a red flag, okay, for the lender. So they advised to get the shed demolished and removed to speed things up. Otherwise, if we wanted to wait for the inspection to see if they would red flag it or not, it could potentially delay. So it was either get the shed removed, which I went ahead and inquired about some costs of the shed removal. So what I did is I went on Facebook Marketplace, handy dandy Facebook Marketplace. Zuck, you got to give me like some promotion or something. But anyways, look, went on Facebook Marketplace, found someone that could do shed demolition. I got multiple quotes. I remember I reached out to a couple companies on Craigslist. It was charging like 3,000, crazy. But I was able to find a company to do it for 1,000. Okay, and what made it even better is this retail buyer was willing to split the cost with me for the shed demolition. So found someone on Marketplace to do it, got it scheduled. They went out there, demolished the shed, removed it. So this is the picture. I don't know if you can really see it, but there is a shed there. They removed the whole shed, got it gone, you know. Ended up paying them for the service, paid them $1,000. Like I said, the retail buyer split half. So out of that deal, I was out of pocket $500 for unexpected things that came up, and I was willing to do whatever to get the deal to go through. This one actually sat on the market for. I'll show you guys when I listed this property. All right, so I listed the property on October 10th. Okay, so that's when it went live. I closed the deal on January 6th live. To when it closed. So that's what it was. But yeah, the realtor on this one was a really cool realtor. She was very easy to work with. So I loved, the fact that I was able to give her a buyer's agent compensation on this one. Um, Other than that, WDWL, what did I learn from this deal? Location is everything again. I knew this deal would move on the market within a good time frame, within that 90-day time frame because of the location. Um, the numbers made sense. The calculator told me it made sense. So I didn't have to question it. I was able to represent the property in its best light by actually paying a little more for those HD quality pictures, which I didn't mind doing. So sometimes you gotta spend a little bit to make some money. I made $14,000. If we do the math on what I spent, just on everything, so let's do the math on that. I'll get my calculator out for y'all. I spent $239 for the pictures. Okay. Then we gotta include the listing. Okay. Then I gotta include going out there to get the pictures. So I think I actually had to spend like 200 extra on that. What else I had to spend? Removal. So like over $1,000 that I had to spend before I made any money. So I made 14,300 something. I'll, pop it up on the screen. But after that, I still netted a good amount, and it was a great deal. I love this deal. It was a good deal. SC, I'm gonna focus a lot more on Maryland this year, Michigan, Ohio, and North Carolina, Texas. We're gonna hammer down on the leads over there. If you guys want to do any JVs, joint venture deals, hit me on Instagram, hit my DM, comment down below. I will try to respond as best as I can. Sometimes I'll be busy. I'm getting a lot of stuff put in motion, but I'm helping a lot more people this year, so if you guys want mentorship, one-on-one mentorship, I am down for that, so, take a look at the Stan Store link in my bio or just reach out to me directly on that. If you guys want to get the RBP course to learn how to do the RBP method, the retail buyer method, please get that course down below before the price goes up on that. Learn the sauce before, too many people start hopping on the wave. But yeah, a lot of y'all found my channel because you were trying to get into real estate or you're trying to get into wholesaling. And I just love the journey that it's been, and right now I'm still in Medellin, Colombia, living life, good views, so just living life, closing deals. We just got an offer on a property yesterday, so I'm very excited about that on a property in Michigan. So I'll have another video for you guys coming up soon when that one closes, So yeah, see y'all on the next video. It's your boy Lil Daryl signing out.